Hey everybody, and welcome back to another Max Velocity weather forecast. And in today's forecast, we'll be breaking down a drastic change that'll be impacting the United States this weekend, which includes a huge cold blast that'll drop temperatures substantially, in addition to a winter storm that'll bring both snow and ice to parts of the Central Plains, Southern Plains, the Midwest, and perhaps even parts of the Ohio Valley. I'll be giving you the latest breakdown on everything that you need to know in this forecast. And let's begin with the watches and warnings across the United States. And the National Weather Service has already issued plenty of winter storm warnings and as well as winter weather advisories. Those winter storm warnings right now do include much of Kansas. This goes from northeast Kansas back into parts of southern Kansas. In addition to this, we even have some winter storm warnings in parts of southwest Nebraska. That is also where there's been plenty of snow here over the last several hours. Also back through parts of Illinois into the Texas Panhandle, we actually have winter weather advisories in effect. And again, this is not really rare for November. We do see this sort of happen as we get closer to late November into December, where we begin to notice some snowfall and sometimes some ice across parts of the Oklahoma Panhandle, even parts of northern and western Oklahoma, and as well as the Texas Panhandle. So keep that in mind. Again, this is going to be more typical as we head into December, but we are beginning to see our first chance here of snowfall and as well as some ice. In many areas, as the time of this forecast being uploaded, are already seeing snow, and you'll see that here in just a second. Now, for perspective, this is the infrared imagery, and the winter storm right now is located here across the Central Plains. The low pressure system is actually over Colorado, and over the next 24 to 48 hours, this is going to move toward the Midwest. So we are going to see snowfall in the Midwest. The big thing about this low pressure system, though, is that it is very slow right now, and it's about to speed up. And if you kind of compare this to like a hurricane, for example, usually hurricanes, we do look at the speed a lot more because, again, if they're going 2 miles per hour or 20 miles per hour, makes a big difference to the forecast. That's what we're kind of looking at here. We're looking at a big difference of basically 2 versus 20 miles per hour, where we're basically looking at a lot more snow over a longer period of time. In comparison, the Midwest tomorrow will see the same system, and it's actually going to be possibly a bit larger than it is today. But the big thing is it's not really going to produce a whole lot of snowfall because it's really light stuff, not a whole lot of moisture. In addition to this, it's going to be very fast. So that's really the big difference there in terms of what we're looking at. By the way, the cold front right now that's located here in the United States, this is by this evening. The cold front will be pushing through areas like Kansas City, but the cold front will also be pushing through Oklahoma and North Texas. There will be a big cool down tonight, and again, some sort of Arctic air will be felt in some areas. We'll have wind chills as low as the teens and single digits across the southern plains by the time you wake up tomorrow morning, so definitely have a jacket in hand. Now let's check out the future radar with this winter storm and give you an idea of how much snow you're going to see and when you'll see it. Timestamps at the top left of your screen, and this is by 1 o'clock this afternoon. Again, notice the darker blues. That is where you're going to be looking at heavier snowfall. So around Wichita, Kansas, back through Emporia, those areas will be seeing heavier snowfall by 1 o'clock. We also have a freezing line here that is going to include the potential for some freezing rain across northwest Oklahoma. That goes from about Amarillo, Texas, back in even close to Wichita. So there will be a glazing of ice possibly this afternoon as well as into this evening. So if you have any travel plans, you definitely want to make sure you're taking it very slow on the roadway and that you're also aware that there's ice on the road. Other people might not be aware that there's going to be some ice on the road because, again, it's cold enough for that to happen. Some people might not know. So make sure you alert your friends, your family, if they have any plans to travel today, because there will be a potential for that. This as we get closer to 2 to 3 o'clock. Again, notice that freezing line will quickly drop down to the south and east as colder air ushers down to the south. So that freezing line going through more rural areas of northwest Oklahoma. By 5 o'clock or so, snow is going to start to expand even into parts of Kansas City. So if you're in Kansas City, get excited. There will be some snow today, at least if you're excited for that. Back through Des Moines, we'll have some light snowfall. Again, notice the light blue. That'd be more flurries to light snow. Not a whole lot of accumulation expected there. By 6 to 7 o'clock tonight, snow is continuing to push across areas like Elk City and Oklahoma all the way back through Kansas City. Notice again, there will be some freezing rain even close to Ponca City, back through Clinton, I-40. You're definitely going to want to make sure you're taking it slow on the roadways. By 9 to 10 o'clock, that freezing line is now pushing through areas like Oklahoma City. Even Childress, Texas might see a little bit of freezing rain this evening. So again, make sure you're taking it slow on the roadways. By around 12 o'clock tonight, we'll have a bit of a transition into some light snow, even into parts of north central Texas. So like Childress, Vernon could also see a mixture, and Oklahoma City even. Don't be shocked. I'll say that. Around midnight tonight, there might be some snowfall mixing in with the rain across parts of Oklahoma City. So you might see some snow tonight. I don't really anticipate much accumulation there, but again, you might see some snow by 2 o'clock. So again, overnight tonight, there will be snow stretching from the Midwest Midwest all the way back through the southern plains. Notice it'll be going all the way into areas like Chicago, but it will be moving pretty quickly. By around 4 in the morning, we're really done with snowfall and really freezing rain across much of the southern plains. The threat will shift into parts of the Midwest where we are going to be seeing a lot more snowfall. I don't think St. Louis will see snow. I think you're going to stay as a cold rain sort of threat, which isn't really a threat. By the morning hours tomorrow, we'll be looking at snow across the Midwest, and this will all be pretty quick moving. So we're going to have about 6 hours maybe of snowfall in Chicago. So we might see 1 to 2 inches of snow, but that'd be about it. And then across Michigan, that'll be where we're seeing a bit more snowfall, and there might even be some lake effect snow behind this that briefly happens. So keep that in mind. And eventually, as we go into the overnight hours going into Monday, all this activity for the most part will be clearing out of the United States. Now, the question of the hour is how much snow will we see and who will see the snow? So across parts of Oklahoma, I'm really not expecting much snowfall. The only areas that might see some pretty decent accumulation would be in northwest Oklahoma, where around 2 to 4 inches of snow will be possible from about Woodward back north of Elk City. So really northwest Oklahoma and the Oklahoma Panhandle. There might also be a little bit in the counties bordering the Oklahoma Panhandle and the Texas area, so keep that in mind. But overall, 2 to 4 inches would be the forecast. Isolated spots could see 5 to 6 inches. Back into parts of central and southern Kansas is a bit of a different story, where you see the purples, which vary from Emporia back through Wichita into Hutchinson. This area could easily see between 3 to 6 inches of snow, with maybe an isolated location getting close to 8 inches of snow. Back through Great Bend, Dodge City, they are seeing snow now. There will be around 2 to 4 inches in some of those areas. Back near Kansas City, I would expect 1 to 3 inches, maybe an isolated spot near 4 to 5 inches. Again, some travel impacts definitely possible. Then once we go further to the north and east near Des Moines, for example, we're talking maybe around a half an inch to an inch, maybe up to 2 inches if you're lucky. And then back through northern Missouri, same boat, maybe around a coating to an inch or 2. And then back into the Midwest, that is where we're looking at a bit more snowfall, ranging from about a coating to 2 inches. Isolated spots in the Illinois and Wisconsin border could get upwards of 3 to 4 inches. And then back into Michigan, overall, most of the state will see around a coating, if not just flurries. If you're back over in parts of western and northern Michigan, again, lake effect snow is possible. Those areas might get upwards of 2 to 4 inches of snow in some spots, with isolated 5 to 6 inches of snow in a couple of locations. Now, one of the biggest issues with this winter storm will be the travel impacts, especially since we just had Thanksgiving and we just had Black Friday, and travel is going to be crazy both today and tomorrow across the United States. And we currently have a moderate impact risk across parts of Kansas for traveling. So if you're anywhere near Wichita, back just west of Kansas City, those areas in particular, anywhere in the orange, you currently are under a moderate risk of travel impacts for today and even tomorrow morning due to the amount of snow that we're going to see, and perhaps even some ice. Minor impacts are expected in the yellow, so Woodward back through Liberal and as well as back into parts of southwest Kansas and into parts of northern Missouri and even parts of western Illinois and eastern Iowa. There will be some minor travel impacts, so again, take it slow on the roadways if you plan on traveling. And as well as we go into Sunday, there will be some minor travel impacts near the Detroit area and as well as back through western parts of Michigan. So again, make sure you're taking it slow on the roadways. Now, I mentioned it's going to get cold because of that big cold blast. Here are the wind chills tomorrow morning. The cold front will be located right here. It's actually pretty easy to see, but this is all the cold air that's going to be dropping down into the southern plains. By tomorrow morning, parts of Kansas, you might be waking up to feeling like 10 degrees in some spots. So keep that in mind. Back over in parts of the northern plains, some spots might be in the single digits for wind chills. And then once we go into Monday morning, that'll drop all the way down into parts of the southeast, like the Dixie Alley. And by Tuesday, we'll start to warm up a tad, but not much. And again, it's going to be pretty cold. This is actually where the real Arctic air mass is. Luckily, we're not getting that because some parts of Canada are 30 to 40 degrees below zero for wind chills. Just crazy stuff going on there. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like the button down below and subscribe if you're not already.